Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes, a Bachelor Nation podcast. I'm Sampy.
And I'm Christy. And we're recapping Michelle's season of The Bachelorette.
Well, Christy, we are back here for episode 9, which should be pretty interesting. A lot going on, some twists and turns. What is going on in Bachelor Nation that we need to know about?
Well, I don't know that we necessarily need to know this one little tidbit, but I found it funny. So apparently Dale is starring in some like romantic comedy movie or something, so he's not like actually an actor, which is what we all thought he came on the show for anyway. But apparently people were sending Claire like the trailer for it, and so she posted on her Insta story, "For the record, you guys can stop sending me all the acting reel clips. I had a front row seat to that since day one." I love the shade she throws.
I just also I don't know if I would want to hire anybody from the show.
I mean, that's a fair point.
I don't know if I would really count, and maybe I'm just being a hateful individual here, but I don't know if I would count that as being real preparation for actual serious acting. But
definitely not. I mean, parts of this show seem very acted to me, but not for actual acting.
Yeah, I mean, of course, a lot of it is probably scripted, but not I don't want to be a terrible person. Look, everyone is amazing, okay?
Sure.
And that's all that I'm going to say about that. So that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into it. They have relocated to Mexico, I guess?
Yes. We'll be here for the next episode as well.
I'm not totally sure why.
I think they just found a spot they could travel to safely.
Huh.
I don't know. I mean, they're in Mexico all the time for Bachelor in Paradise, so
that is
pretty
true.
Close.
Probably. Well, I don't know. Is it the same resort?
No, I think I saw Wells say on Twitter that it was maybe 10 miles away. Okay. So in the area.
Okay. Well, yeah. So let's get into it. What caught your eye coming into this episode?
Her little walk with Caitlyn was interesting, where she kind of gives the state of the relationship for all three that are left. It's interesting.
In case we hadn't been paying attention.
Yes. Although I did think it was interesting, she said no concerns with Brandon.
Well, he has been very enthusiastic about this relationship from the very beginning. So
yes.
Understandable.
And on the other end, still waiting for an "I love you" from Nayte.
Yeah, he's having a hard time opening up. But she needs more emotionally from him, I did kind of find it funny, and they played this so many different times in the various promos and stuff, but the whole we're going from bros to foes.
Yes, well, they're making all of them stay in one room area.
That'll end well.
Super awkward.
That's definitely the situation you want to be in when you have one of you go away and sleep with a person and then come back and spend an entire day with the other two guys, and then the next guy goes off and sleeps with the same person, comes back to all three of them, and repeated.
Yeah.
Perhaps slightly awkward.
I didn't even think about, like, we saw, like, when they come back later, what, like, maybe 60 seconds, but then that's just, like, the tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
They have to sit there the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And stew in it.
Yeah. And then also, the two guys that are there as the next stage happens as well.
Mm-hmm.
So fun. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, this is always like the 1 week of the season or just like, how does anybody do this show? Just can't imagine.
Yeah, I guess it's just you gotta do what you gotta do for the gram. Yep. Well, that's real fun.
Yep. So Brandon is going first.
Mm-hmm. Definitely my favorite of the three.
He says this is his first time leaving the country. And so they're going horseback riding, which doesn't go super well for him at first. I don't think he had ever been horseback riding either, if I remember correctly. And so the horse just kind of took off.
No, you kind of, like with any vehicle, you need to know how to stop it.
Yes, and steer.
Before you know how to start it.
Yeah, well, the horse started.
Look, it didn't go that far.
No, they eventually got synced back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did think that was funny because Michelle made some comment about how, like, they were supposed to be going on the date together.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess it's we've just I guess it's just what's the reality of COVID, but a lot of very similar dates. I mean, you just saw a lot of horses this episode.
Yeah, we've seen this kind of date before. We saw it during Bachelor in Paradise. Maybe it was even the same horses. Like,
well, it probably wasn't the same horses, but that's a very, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but like it's a pretty common thing. Like, oh, you go to a resort in Mexico and you're on the beach somewhere and you could go on a horseback ride, like on the beach or like through the jungle. It seems like a pretty common thing. Even just a bunch of years ago when I was in Mexico, I didn't actually go horseback riding, but I know that people did at the time. So I guess, you just got those COVID restrictions. Can't do a ton of crazy stuff. But I do definitely, as I said, he's my favorite of the three. I think that he has a good combination of all the different elements that would make him a strong contender, both like his enthusiasm and how serious he can be as well, and his commitment through the entire thing. Like, I just think that he's a very strong contender overall, and also probably would be a decent match for her.
Yeah, I feel like they could be a good match. I feel like some of the things he says are a little over the top, considering like how much time they've actually spent together. Like, I knew you were the one since day one when I met you. I will put you first till I take my last breath. Like, those are like wedding vow type of things. So I don't know.
He's all in, okay? He's all in.
I don't know that I've ever seen a contestant be this in. Like, he is so earnest and effusive and eager and just like so excited.
I mean, it served him well so far.
Yeah, because Michelle likes to hear stuff like that. So
yeah, she really does. How did you what did you think of the evening portion of this date?
Yeah, I think that's when he said some of that stuff, and also like she's like, "Yeah, I do see a future with you." I don't know. It was kind of just more of the same, just tons of making out.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny because I forget which one of them it was, but it like took a beat. Like I have to say this like before we start making out because like,
yeah, they even acknowledged it
because otherwise it's just never gonna get said because we're just gonna be too busy.
No, our lips cannot be apart for too long.
No, definitely not. I mean, this is actually fairly tame as far as the two of them are concerned. Because, like, there's been, I would say, out of all of the kissing I've seen go on this show through the small, again, admittedly, I haven't seen that many seasons, but, like, he's some of the most, like, passionate / somewhat aggressive kisser that I've seen. And I know I've brought this up before, but like when they arrived at Michelle's parents' house and he was like, "Oh, this is your parents' house," and they were sitting next to each other in the car and he basically just jumped on top of her.
Hey, his excitement translates to kissing as well, it appears.
I know, it's funny to me because I don't know, it just doesn't. It is kind of over the top, but it's also not. It's not the most awkward, even though it is kind of aggressive and over the top, and fairly in depth. I guess you could say. It hasn't made me as uncomfortable as some other people's kissing.
Oh,
Let's just say that. Like Jamie's kissing.
Oh,
that was
terrible.
That was very uncomfortable.
Well, it's also because like he's the villain, so it just kind of weirds you out watching it.
I know, true. I've just as you know, I've spent a lot of time hiding under my desk while watching this show. I just can't take it anymore, and I have to hunker down.
I think Jamie was the one I sent you that photo of where like he's like looking at the camera while he's
kissing Michelle and he's staring directly into the camera like a
so funny.
freaking sociopath. Oh my word, that's just terrifying. Well, of course they're gonna be going to the fantasy suite.
Well,
let's be
I
real.
mean, should you choose to forgo your individual rooms?
Should you yes, because you definitely you really don't want to forego your individual rooms. I know this is so difficult for you.
No.
I just too. So when they transitioned into the hot tub, that was a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, honestly, you don't normally see fireworks during fantasy suite dates. It's usually like earlier in the season, but yeah, that was quite a show.
Yeah, this is very extended duration. I was just like, it's still going. Okay.
Yeah. Also, Nayte and Joe were able to see them as well.
Yeah, that's a real. It's gotta be a real confidence booster
I know.
when you're just hanging out awkwardly with the other guy, and then you just like see this like full 30-minute fireworks show.
Yeah, especially if you look at them as a metaphor for what's going on.
Well, I mean,
It's
then
like-
that's always been the case, right? It's like, ooh, wow, they're throwing off the fireworks because there's some emotional and physical fireworks going on. Wink, wink, wink.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely. The show likes to make the other people uncomfortable. Whoever isn't on the date, they like to make uncomfortable.
Yeah, though we see them like, I guess eventually shut the door and actually I think I heard a behind the scenes one time of like once that happens, then it's like now the producers have to like unmic them and all that. So it's not that's not really the end
Of course
of
not.
the night.
It's
But
just a cinematic sort of fade to black,
yeah,
even though there's production stuff that has to happen after that. But yeah. So what did you think about them wearing clothes the next morning?
I don't know. The question is always, did they or didn't they? After each of these, it was hard to tell this time because, and I feel like it was kind of the same vibe for all of them. A couple of guys had their shirts off, but that doesn't mean anything. So, who knows?
He could just be shy.
Also, and then they like started a food fight in bed.
Yeah. Which are empanadas breakfast food?
I didn't think they were. There was also like some sort of club sandwich. It was very odd. But like what a mess though to have that in bed.
Yes, Christy would never want to take food into bed. Ever.
No, especially not that kind of food. Like they had like orange juice on the tray.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at you. It's just very funny to me to hear the practical, organized cries of your heart as you see this stuff. Like, oh no. Just think of all the crumbs that are getting on the sheets.
Somebody has to clean that up.
What if they spill the orange juice? Oh. Not, oh wow, they're having this fun romantic time, and it's like, no, oh my goodness. Oh, that's gonna be difficult for house cleaning.
That's gonna leave a stain.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't give my co-host a hard time, but that is very funny to me. It's every time. It's like, oh my goodness. Oh, just think they'd have to take a shower after that butter bath. Ugh, what a mess. Or I can't believe I can't. I don't know about that whole butter sculpture thing. That's a lot of fat in one area. Anyways, I will cease from poking fun at my co-host here and get back to the hot takes here. But yeah, I would agree with you. Like I feel like part of the point is the ambiguity, because they're like, oh well, they get to have some time by themselves, unmiked, unwatched. Anything could happen. Whoa. Of course. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love how they talk about it. Like, oh, I just can't wait to like talk all night.
Yeah. Talk. That's definitely all I want to do. Despite like suctioning to your face at every single opportunity. Yeah, look. I would say that no sex ever happens in fantasy suites. They all they spend the night talking. And, look, I know probably better than most people. Like, sometimes as a guy, you just get really hot. And so you have to take your shirt off. It's just, it's not like a sexual thing. It's a temperature thing.
Oh, yeah. So innocent.
Yeah. Yes, it's all very platonic.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would say that's the case for Nayte's date. But
oh boy. Well, we will get to that. And of course, at some level, what's the point in speculating? But they are both adults, so anything could happen.
True.
But it did seem to, overall, it seemed to go pretty well. So I always like to see that since I like Brandon, but
I loved when he came back. That's just so funny. Like, he sits down and like nobody knows what to say, and they all just start laughing. It's like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, and then like asking how it went. Like,
I know why. Like, how was your night?
Yeah, what kind of question is that? Like, what are you expecting to get as an answer? Like, yeah, we had a great time, great day portion, and then we, went back to the room and had sex all night. Like, what? Why are you asking that as a contestant?
Just once, I want somebody to say that,
yeah,
and then it'll never be asked again.
It's probably a contractual thing where they have to tiptoe around it, be like,
yeah. There's been a few times in Bachelor history where people have actually admitted it, but that's pretty rare.
Yeah, they like to keep it behind the closed doors. I don't know if there is, because I would imagine there's at least some amount of paperwork involved. No?
I don't know. I mean, Hannah Brown's season was real messy. She admitted to another guy that she had slept with a different one.
Oh, sorry. I just mean in terms of, like, in general, not that, like, they couldn't talk about it. I'm just saying, from a production standpoint, it seems like if they didn't have specific paperwork on it, like, legally it might be a bit weird because, I don't know, and I'm not a lawyer, so what do I really know? But it seems like you could get into that territory of, like, if you don't have specific paperwork covering the legalities, that you could potentially get into a situation where, like, it goes into some uncomfortable territory as far as, like, I don't know, say, like, prostitution or coercion, like, things like that.
Oh.
Because of, like, the whole situation. But maybe it's just a simple, you arrive, sign a piece of paper that says you may want to have sex with some of these people, and we won't film you when it happens, but, like, also don't give us any trouble about it.
Yeah, I don't know how that works with reality TV.
Right, because, I mean, that sort of thing definitely, I don't know about the paperwork side of things, but, like, the actual activity definitely happens, in Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, with a camera running the whole time. Just think of all the, like, footage they have of all these people.
I don't want to think about that. Maybe that's why they go to Mexico.
No, the laws are looser there or something.
Potentially, I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about something less uncomfortable. Let's talk about Joe's fantasy suite.
Yes, he says he is ready to be as open as possible, which is a struggle, which I can relate to.
Are you a 1,000-piece puzzle, Christy?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
What does that even really mean? I feel like that was like a weird analogy.
I guess just that it's tough to put him together, like get all the pieces of what makes Joe Joe. I guess something like that.
I suppose.
Because she was like, I have some edge pieces, I have some middle pieces. I was like, I don't know if I would like continue. Like, most analogies and metaphors can only take you so far. So like, I don't know, maybe don't fully develop that analogy.
Yeah, I feel like an onion or something would have been a better analogy.
Well, there are many layers there. And I am very tempted to make a Shrek reference that you would not understand. But I won't. But I know. I feel bad about this. I don't feel bad about it, but I feel weird about it. I was going to say, Gabe would definitely understand my Shrek reference.
Oh, I feel like most people would.
Well, perhaps. But what about this zip lining? Another activity you would absolutely love.
Yeah, they have so many on this show that are just so right up my alley.
Christy loves zip lining. Like, the higher the better. No, I'm kidding. Completely.
I mean, they seem to have fun. So
he actually screamed.
Yeah, it's such a funny statement.
Look, I am a strong believer in screaming on stuff like that. It's just part of the fun. Like, I scream on roller coasters, I scream on zip lines because it's fun to do it.
I guess if you say so.
And he despite being very introverted, he managed to do that. He seemed to be really trying here.
Yeah, he's giving it his all.
Because I don't know if you had any additional thoughts on when she was talking to him about like being an introvert, dating an extrovert.
Yeah, I don't remember what his answer to that was, or if they like cut around it, but probably a good thing to bring that up.
I think the gist of it was that like he was gonna try.
Oh. Yeah, they kept talking on his data about the opening up and another side and all that. It's like, okay, we need to actually like talk about substantial stuff if we want this to go further.
Really? I know. Yeah, I know. I get the difficulty in that, but at the same time, when you're in this situation, you gotta be willing to just chop open those layers and let your gooey center run out. Which is a weird analogy because onions don't have gooey centers, but it is what it is.
I mean, if you think about it, this is only his second date. So it's just so wild.
Yeah, but they had such a great connection, Christy. He's her, like, what did she say? It's like slice of home.
Yeah, I guess maybe third date if you count hometowns, but just gotta have feelings real quick.
Yeah, you gotta progress your relationship. Which, yeah. I didn't appreciate Nayte's like posturing here. Across the episode, but here as well.
Oh, where he was talking about third is the best spot.
Yeah, and just all about how like, oh yeah, definitely like the last person to go is like the strongest connection, and like, oh, you're so nervous, Brandon, because like you went first and you're in danger, and like
I mean, I feel like he's only saying third is the best spot because he is the third person.
Clearly, obviously.
That doesn't mean anything, really.
No, I know. What I'm saying, I guess, is that it just, in my opinion, it serves as another example of why I don't think Nayte deserves to be here.
That's a hot take.
I
know. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just don't think that. Again, this is just my opinion, as someone who has many opinions, and is generally critical and curmudgeonly, but I just think that when you consider who Michelle is and what Michelle is trying to accomplish in her life and the person she's trying to find, I do not think that Nayte measures up to that when you compare him to the other two in particular.
Yeah, he seems a little more like free-flowing, just I don't even know what the right word is. Maybe not quite as grounded.
Yeah, and potentially
as the other two.
Yeah, and potentially immature, because I don't know. It's just weird because you look at somebody like Brandon, who kind of, I don't know, with his enthusiasm and like how he acts, like Brandon like kind of seems fairly young, and I think he is pretty young as well, like just chronologically with his age, right? Isn't he on the younger side?
I think he might be a couple years younger than her.
Okay, so he's not super young, but you know that enthusiasm can come across that way, I think. But at the same time, it's not particularly. I mean, I would say maybe early in the season, I felt more like that. But as the season's gone on, I think that he has managed to appear pretty mature and grounded, despite his enthusiasm and like the passion that he has and all of that stuff. I just don't think that Nayte has really moved past that, in my opinion. And so he kind of seems like he was at the beginning of the season, even though now we're at the end.
Yeah, Nayte hasn't really changed much over the course of the season in terms of like what the things he's saying to her.
I mean, and you know, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Like, obviously change takes time, and like this is a very short like it's a short filming period, and you know, yada 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 yada. It just doesn't seem like he's in the same place as the other two. Like, I could, despite Joe's difficulty in opening up and all of that, like, I could see him working well with Michelle and actually like going through with a proposal and marriage and stuff. Same with Brandon, but I just don't see that with Nayte.
Well, I mean, Nayte says he's not bothered, he's not stressed, but that pimple on his forehead tells a different story.
You had to bring up the pimple. Oh, so cruel.
Couldn't help it. It was so obvious. So, anyway.
How dare you?
Back to Joe.
Back to Joe. Apologies to everyone for my extended Nayte rant. I just
we'll have more to say about him later.
Oh, absolutely. But yes, Joe, of course, you know, you're not gonna give the man, you know, you're not gonna not give the man a fantasy suite card.
No, he accepts.
Though, like, it just, like, cuts to the next morning, basically.
I know. Like, we see like a few shots of them like looking at the hotel room with ITMs from Brandon like spliced over it. So we see so little, which is like kind of a sign like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And then, boom, next morning.
Yeah, he says he's more in love with her every moment that they get together.
Dun, dun, dun.
And she also said that he was more relaxed when the cameras are off. So part of it could just be like he's on reality TV.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely does seem legitimately introverted
Mm-hmm.
as a person.
Yes.
Which I'm sure is not easy than to go out and do well on a show like this.
Oh, yeah. I could never do a show like this.
I mean, you don't know until you try. You could be like, what's it, Jamie, and just be on a break while you're on the show. Yeah. Anyways, I feel sad for Joe because I feel like shows like this and the Bachelor in particular, definitely it is a format that for sure rewards extroverts, rewards like attention seekers generally, like things like that, because obviously that's the stuff that gets the views. I mean, like, you know, your normal evening as an introvert would not be very interesting for national television.
No, not at all.
And I mean, like, most people's wouldn't, but like, just say, like, overall, like, I think it's harder for an actual introvert to do well in a scenario like this. But
So he returns to the guys, says he has a good time. And it's just as awkward as before.
mm-hmm. I mean, did you really expect anything different?
Nope. So it's Nayte's turn.
Ugh. And
So they go riding on a boat.
which I will say is not the first time that Nayte has been on a boat with Michelle.
No, actually, it's actually, yeah, definitely the second plus the paddleboarding. So this is like their third water activity.
Why?
And he always wears those like brightly colored shorts or swim trunks.
They're his only pair of swim trunks. Christy, come on, give the guy a break.
Oh, suddenly you're a Nayte defender.
No, I just empathize with only having one bathing suit.
Well, at least he brought one.
Yeah, at least they're allowed to have swimsuits, unlike Survivor, where they're just like,
Oh,
you will do water stuff in your underwear, your only pair of underwear.
oh, so that is just, I cannot even imagine.
But-
And you wear that same pair the whole time.
Yes, the Bachelor Nation is slightly more forgiving. Yeah. I don't know. I guess what I want to know from you, Christy, is what do you think about how he engages with Michelle and kind of how he says stuff? Because it's not like I don't think that he's not trying to be genuine. It just, to me, it feels a bit hollow.
Yeah, especially when she has to like pry it out of him or drag it out of him. It didn't feel organic. All the things that he ended up saying, because she asked, like, oh, are you going to be able to get to an engagement at the end? And then he, like, goes on this long, rambly explanation of, like, oh, things have been amazing. I've had a lot of time to think about my feelings. Like, being around my family was, like, huge. And after thinking about it a while, I realized I don't have answers to that. But that's life. Like,
yeah, yeah, shrug of the shoulders. That's life.
And then, like, Michelle presses him again because, like, what kind of answer was that? And it's like, I need to know that the other person is on the same page. And, like, your stepdad is like, yeah, you might not be ready for this. And then finally he's like, I take relationships seriously. I'm feeling things for you that I've never felt before. He's ready for falling in love, being in love. I trust myself. I am falling in love. Like, this was so, like, convoluted.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's just not the best with words, but it felt like he said it because he had to. Which is always a problem I have with this portion of the show, because everybody always says the same thing. So it's like, you reach this point, you have to say you're falling in love or you're in love, otherwise you will go home. So if I'm the Bachelorette, I feel like I don't put a whole lot of stock in a contestant saying falling in love at this point, because everybody says it.
Yeah, particularly when, like, that as a conclusion wasn't necessarily, like, the conclusion that went with what he said, I guess.
Yeah, it was just a weird, like
you throw
set of sentences.
Yeah, like you throw together a word salad. Like, the conclusion to that, or like the natural conclusion to that, in my opinion, isn't, yeah, I'm falling in love.
Yeah, he also says he could get there to an engagement by the end, which is just a few days away. So either you're there or you're not. Mm-hmm. And somehow Michelle's conclusion after this was like, a huge weight has been lifted off and everything is fine now. So I don't, was there more that he said that was just cut out?
I mean,
because if I were there, I would not have been satisfied with that.
That's obviously always a possibility.
Maybe I'll just have to go with that, because she seems ecstatic. So,
I mean, it's always possible to that you kind of hear what you want to hear, like that sort of thing. Because if you do like someone, I'm sure that, particularly in such a high stakes situation as that is, in such a quick moving situation as that is, I feel like it would be fairly easy to kind of gloss over things and just be like, oh yeah, like I get, like, that's, yeah, he's in a good place here, like, because, right, she has really enjoyed spending time with him and all of this different stuff. So I think that could play into things potentially as well. But
yeah, I mean,
who knows?
If he's the one she likes the most, it makes sense why she's like pulling stuff out of him.
Right.
So
I just don't think that her like of him is warranted.
I don't know. She's liked him from the beginning, so I mean, he got the first impression rose.
I know, but life is not about raw chemistry, Christy.
On this show, that's all you got to go on.
It's like Katie's aunt said.
Aunt Lindsay. Well, he gets the fantasy suite card.
What? Oh, I'm so surprised. Shocked, truly.
So the next morning, they seem happy. He said he wants a life with her. Did it sound like when the cameras were off, he said he was in love?
I guess.
I don't know, but Michelle in an interview says she's in love and that this is what a soulmate feels like.
I wouldn't want my soulmate to feel like that.
And then, like, maybe the weirdest thing I've ever seen happen after a fantasy suite happens
The mariachi
now.
band?
Yes, just out of the blue, they start playing music below them on the street. Like, what was that?
Christy, when in Mexico, eat empanadas for breakfast and hire a random resort mariachi band to...
Yeah, but that should have come the night before. Like, after the dinner.
Christy.
In the morning? Early in the morning?
ABC knows what they're doing, okay? No, I thought it was weird as well. But my opinion clearly counts for nothing.
Well, after that, Nayte goes back. And I guess when the guys asked him, like, how'd it go, he said they vibed out, kicked it. So I guess that's up to interpretation.
That's how I always describe the time I spend with the people I love. Just like, yeah, we're just in a really good place. We vibed out, we kicked it. That's what I always say. Like if you are you really in love with someone unless you vibe out and kick it? That's my question. And I don't think you can. You gotta vibe out.
I need to evaluate my life, I guess.
You're telling me you're not vibing out and kicking it?
Well, first I gotta figure out what that means.
I think you're just you're too old now. You don't get what the kids are up to now.
Yeah, not always.
Yeah. So, somewhat of an interesting rose ceremony.
Yeah, like Michelle walks in a really great dress, by the way. And then
Christie's seal of approval.
Brandon asked to talk, which you've seen this sort of thing so many times on the show, but usually it's like there's something they really need to tell the lead. And this was like, oh, I just want to make sure, no matter what happens, you're going to be okay.
Christy, he's all in, okay?
I just didn't see what the point of it was. Just caused all this angst. And
I think he just wanted to, reiterate that, so he was on her mind and didn't get sent home.
Well, he did not get sent home, so I guess it worked.
Though Nayte was not happy about it. He's like, can't believe he's doing that, he's clearly afraid, and it's a Hail Mary.
Yeah, that is usually what that means, but I don't know, it was odd. But I guess they needed a bit of drama.
Well, and obviously we can't see people's motivations, but it's not I don't think it was out of character for him. Obviously you could argue that it was like this. He was afraid that he was going to get sent home, and so he wanted to reestablish connection with her since he was the first one to have his fantasy suite. So presumably then she hadn't seen him for 4 or 5 days at that point, right?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Something like that. So I think it makes sense from a Bachelor as a game play for sure, but I also don't think it was totally out of his character as well, with how all in he's been, but yeah, despite Nate's irritation, it did work.
Yep, so Joe goes home.
The wrong person.
There was no way she was going to send Nate home. Not after the way that fantasy suite went.
I love you, Michelle, but you gotta make better choices. Like, come on. Nate is like this tattooed man-child. I mean, so frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see what happens next week. Did she make the right decision?
If she doesn't pick Brandon, I'm going to be very unhappy.
Well, we will see. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yes, because Christy has known for weeks. Weeks upon weeks upon weeks. She probably knew before the season started airing.
I don't remember when the spoilers dropped, but I did know who the final two were.
Unbelievable. I don't totally understand that.
It's just like once you start, you can't stop.
Wow. Is that so?
It changes the way you watch the show completely.
My co-host, everyone, she is an addict. She has a problem.
Yes, I can admit it.
Mm-hmm. So you admit it, and yet you don't try to change. Interesting.
Nah.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, everyone, you heard it here first. Nah. That's the response. Unbelievable. I don't understand. Like, I would just look at the spoilers so I didn't have to watch the show.
Well, no, because you watch it, like, keeping in mind, like, who the final four are. So you're kind of, like, watching out for their interactions compared to the other people. And also just seeing how they edit the winner is always interesting. So, I don't know.
I see. Well, I don't understand it, but I respect it. So, there you go. Yeah. Still sad, though. Poor Joe.
I know. I did make note of when he said if it was something Brandon said. Kind of wondering if that's what sunk him, but I doubt it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could have helped her solidify what her decision was, but I don't know if it would have been enough to change the balance of what her decision was if she had previously been the opposite direction. But
yeah, I think it was definitely going to be Brandon no matter what.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment of the situation. But, you know, this is just the reality of Bachelor Nation. It's a cruel, cruel world. Eat or be eaten. So, he got eaten. R.I.P. Joe. And of course, you know, she had to make sure, like, oh, look, like, I'm not rejecting you because you're terrible. You know, just, other relationships progressed faster.
Yeah, standard line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he actually cried in the car leaving.
Yeah, I think he really liked her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's always sad when the final three person goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A real bummer. I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles. Sorry, Joe. Somebody had to go. and you didn't have enough earrings to make it into the final two. Did you want to talk about the end tag at all before we wrap this puppy up?
No, I mean, there wasn't much there. They just fed some horses, her and Joe.
Because, I mean, he has been, and not like they've had a ton of animal-related dates, but he has been good with animals throughout the season.
Yeah.
Which is another reason to reject Nayte and why she should have kept Joe, because he was really good with animals and Nayte wasn't. And animals can sense good character and kindness and stuff. I'm serious. Absolutely.
Even
serious.
cows?
Yeah. Yeah. Cows aren't gonna like you if they can sense you're a terrible person. It's just the reality of the situation. I know you're basically a city girl, so you don't understand how important of a metric this is, but that was probably my biggest shift in attitude towards
Wow.
Nayte was after the farm date. Look, it's just...
It was all downhill from there for you.
Yeah, it's the reality of the situation. The animals did not take to him, and there is a reason for that. But, lest we talk about that forever, and bore people to death, I just wanted to say I have no more thoughts.
Do you have a kiss total?
Yes, I do. And I hope you're sitting down because it was 41.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And just think of all the ones we missed while the cameras were off.
I know. What a tragedy. Yep. I mean, quite a few. Really made up some ground. I'm pretty sure that is a single episode record since we have been doing this podcast.
Oh, really? Not just this season? Wow.
Correct. I mean, I feel like Matt maybe got up to like 35 or so. But yes, Michelle is the current reigning single episode champion.
He is getting after it.
Yes, well, I guess it's part of the journey. It's part of the journey. Do you have contact information?
Yes, you can email us at groupdatespod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at groupdatespodcast.
We love hearing from the wonderful people of the universe. It just really makes us happy. Christy is always super excited to have people to talk about The Bachelor with. It's like it brings her so much joy.
Yes.
Perhaps the only thing that could really get her riled up and talking for an extended period.
Yeah, there's a few topics.
And this is a big one. So if you wanna rile her up, send us a message, and I'm sure she will get back to you.
Yep, I will.
Kindly, of course. Not rudely, just kindly. Even if we do have some scalding hot takes from time to time, we are much nicer in person. So there is that. But next week, it's the 3-hour finale. Ooh.
I love when it's live. We actually get a live AFR this time.
Yep. So after the final rose plus final episode, I'm sure there'll be lots of drama as Michelle realizes truly how unprepared Nayte is for any sort of commitment. We'll have, I guess, Brandon's proposal, assuming Michelle isn't so distraught at the bombshell of Nayte just being like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm sure we will have a Neil Lane appearance, whether that ends up being virtual or if he shows up with the rings himself. Hard to say. I don't know if he was able to get an airport slot for his private jet and all of his rings, but
the virtual Neil Lane video call was so funny to me.
Oh wow, this is so early. You need a ring now? Okay, I can get one to you. Yes, it'll be long and full of drama, and I'm sure they'll be able to manufacture something for the live show as well. Maybe another streaker, some sort of yelled proclamation of love by some random fan. Who knows?
Let's hope not.
But it'll be off the chain, I'm sure. But hopefully, when it's all said and done, we'll be able to have vibed out and kicked it. This has been Group Dates and Hot Takes, a Bachelor Nation podcast. I'm Sampy.
And I'm Christy. We'll talk to you next week.